Where it hits, it punches below its weight. We have to punch not above our weight. We have to punch not below our weight. We have to increase our weight and punch the post.
ये हमारा सिद्धांत है. हम घर में घुस के मारेंगे.
You know, victims of terrorism do not sit together with perpetrators of terrorism to discuss terrorism.
Namaskar, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi here. I have with me Major General Prabdeep Singh after a while. और मैं आपको बताऊं guys, एक चीज बोलना चाहूंगा before I hand it over to sir. कि मैं, we were talking to sir कि यार sir आ जाओ जरा war का update करना है अपने को. We have to do something. We have to talk about this whole thing. So we had planned some things. कहीं busy हो गए. But anyways, we decided on now. मैं संडे को मैसेज किया सर आ जाओ ये हफ्ते में, तो सर आ जाएंगे. चलो ठीक है. तो हमने सोचा यार देखेंगे क्या गेम होने वाला है, ये वो एंड ऑल दैट. बट वॉर्स के अपडेट के चक्कर में आज ऐसा हुआ कि एक वॉर तो रुकेगी, परमानेंटली ना रुके, बट इट इज एक्चुअली स्टॉप्ड, द गाजा वॉर. हैविंग सेड दैट 19 तारीख को इनका फाइनल डे है. दैट्स अनदर 3 days. आई डोंट नो व्हाट्स गोना हैपन देयर. लेट्स टॉक टू सर. बट द मोर डिफिकल्ट पार्ट आई सी फॉर ट्रम्प एंड द चैलेंज इज गोना बी यूक्रेन. जो इतना बोला था ना 24 घंटे में रोक दूंगा, I'll do this, I'll do that. Doesn't look like it, but let's see what sir has to say on that particular aspect. Sir ji, namaskar. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Aadi. Thank you. Namaskar, everybody. Good to be back. And as you said, major changes in geopolitics taking place all over the world. And, there was, if you recollect, long time back, I had said Ukraine will be the turning point, is the turning point in geopolitics. And that is kind of proving to be true. Now, the second turning point in my scheme of understanding of things is the taking over of the presidency by Donald Trump. The moment that happens, we will see a shift. And that shift is going to be a very interesting shift. Good for America. Will it be good for the world is what we'll have to see. Now, we have already, you just mentioned Gaza and you mentioned Ukraine. Gaza, in any case, we all know what has happened is that there have been talks which have been going on in Qatar, and behind the scenes, a lot of negotiations have taken place, and they've agreed to a ceasefire, which is kind of supposed to start on this 19th, effective 19th of January. That is the day before Trump takes over. You see the timing. Before the hell breaks loose, right? So that now, why 19th? Because it could not be the 20th and it could not be the 21st.
You can't steal it.
You can't steal. Joe Biden did not want to give the thunder to Trump.
Yeah.
Let me put it that way. And in any case, Trump had said that the hostages must be released before he takes over. And we all understand there are a total of 94 hostages right now, apparently. And out of that, from 94, about 34 are presumably dead.
Yeah.
Other than 94, there were 4 more hostages taken earlier, prior to 7th of October, out of which they claim that, again, 2 of them are dead. So we're looking at 94 minus 34, 60, 60 plus 2, 62 is, if I just work the maths out. And in the first phase, 33 of them are supposed to be, released by the Hamas back to the Israelis. And in turn, the Hamas has also asked for, obviously in exchange, a number of their people. Now, as far as Hamas is concerned, apparently there is still, they have asked by name that we want few people, person X to be released. Now, that particular thing is now becoming a hindrance. And in any case, as of now, Israel hasn't really formally
Ratified the deal.
ratified the ceasefire or the deal which has taken place. So there are a lot of ifs and buts at the moment, and which are being sorted out. And let us see as to what happens. Now, if you really look at it, this war, 7th of October of 2023 to now, that's 15 months. The loss of life and the loss, the loss to life and the damage and the displacement cost has been kind of tremendous. You know how many structures have been destroyed? I'll talk about the life. 136,000 structures have been destroyed in Gaza. Not funny. And we're talking about houses, hospitals, whatever, offices. 136,000. 136,000.
Flat कर दिया उसको, हैं?
Yes, flat. How many militants have been killed? So-called Hamas fighters? 17,000. How many Palestinians have been wounded?
I mean, can't trust the figures, but yeah, whatever's coming out, it's...
Yeah, whatever. How many Palestinians killed? 46,000. On the Israeli side, we have number of people killed as 1,200. Hostages, as we all know, 251 and 62 are alive. Then soldiers on the Israeli side who've been killed as 840.
Yeah.
And it's not that only the Palestinians have been displaced. The Israelis have been displaced as well. About 1.9 million Palestinians have been displaced. On the other hand, about 75,500 of Israelis have also got displaced.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, when you're looking at, as far as the Palestinian territory is concerned in the Gaza, the Gaza side, Gaza Strip, about 90% have been already been evacuated. So just about 10% which is kind of holding on with the civilian population. So this is the scale of destruction which has taken place in the last 15 months. I just wanted to put that in perspective, and an end to this kind of war is somewhat welcome by everybody. But who is not welcoming it? There are forces within the Israeli government which are not very happy with this deal.
Netanyahu himself, sir.
Yes, Netanyahu himself. And then he is kind of forced to accept. But the moment he is forced to accept, there is a turmoil within his government, and his government is likely to fall, and he is going to be kind of... So his standing as far as the Prime Minister of Israel is quite shaky at the moment after the post-signing of the deal. And now we also got to see as to what will happen to him and to his party and to the Israeli government, and how Trump deals with it.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the hell, will it break loose? You got to see that also. If this deal falters for some reason, or if the first phase is not very effective, or the second phase is not executed, and then you may see a shift in the stance by the new government in the United States, and you will see as to what actions are taken. So that's as far as the Gaza is concerned. Now, let's take a roundup of what's happening in Ukraine. Ukraine, as we see, the amount of money which has been given of late, prior to the handover and the inauguration of Trump's presidency. We all know that Biden's government has kind of ensured passing many bills, sanctioning a lot of money, 2.6 billion, etc., which has been poured into Ukraine. Now, what happens? What are they trying to achieve? You got to look at it in two ways. One is to give maximum support to Ukraine before Trump comes. Right? Make sure that it is legally, Trump is legally kind of compelled to continue with whatever has already been sanctioned. And obviously, in government circles, something which is signed, it's very difficult to retract later on. And to push through those arms and ammunition and the monetary, financial aid that has to go in. Second is, one is to look at it aiding Ukraine. The second is to look at it in a way creating problems for Trump for his initial settling down, to make life miserable, so miserable that Trump is unable to kind of face the world. He is unable to stop the war. Right? Then the second thing that you got to see is they've made statements. Even the UK Prime Minister Stammer, he's floating around in Kiev. He suddenly emerged in Kiev, and he said that we are going to sign a 100 years security pact with Ukraine. 100 years. I mean, he doesn't even know whether he's going to be there tomorrow, as far as his own standing is concerned. But they're talking about a 100 years pact, and that we are going to be with Ukraine all the way. The third thing that you got to focus on is the NATO membership. Now, President Trump is very clear. As far as NATO is concerned, he's not a supporter of NATO. He is also talking about withdrawal from NATO.
Yeah.
He's talking withdrawal of NATO, and he's talking of the contribution, of course, by the European states, and European states should be able to defend themselves. Absolutely logical, and kind of agree with him. Now, the impact on Europe is what you're going to be seeing. When we look at the future, the current situation is such that you don't know whether the Ukraine war is going to continue or not. That's the general feeling. But in my understanding, A, the war will continue. B, the conditions laid down by President Putin and President Zelensky are not going to converge. And by the time that conversion is achieved, a lot of damage would have already been done to Ukraine. A lot more damage. More territory would have been gained by Russia. So Russia, as far as Russia is concerned, it stands to gain as far as the war is concerned, continue with the war and continue gaining territory, right? Of course, of late, Ukraine has also made a lot of, it's caused a lot of damage to Russia by attacking all over, Russia and deep inside Russia. And yesterday, the Russians also, after all, retaliated by a large amount of drones and missiles which were fired all over. So I kind of get a feeling that both sides have now got accustomed to the idea of missiles and drones. You fire a missile and you fire a drone, and then you say, okay, no, our anti-aircraft umbrella is so strong, we brought them down. So everybody claims that. Russia also claims that, and so does the Ukrainians also. Right? All the storm shadows which have been fired and all the ATACMS or whatever they are, they've been fired, they've been stopped. That's what Russia claims. So do the Ukrainians claim that, the Russians fired so many missiles and so many this thing, and we brought down so many. So this kind of a game is being played. But what is happening physically on ground is Russia is gaining territory by the day. And the Ukrainian morale on ground is so poor that the troops are not ready to fight any longer. Nor are they prepared as far as the defensive works are concerned, because the war has progressed eastwards. It's progressing at a faster pace than they could have imagined. Of course, they made a very deliberate attempt in Kursk the other day and tried to capture territory. The surprise, that's the last minute push,
That was a company worth of troops, hardly anything. Actually.
Yeah, that's what. They just went a few kilometers. That's about all, right? It is not making any material difference to the war per se.
Yeah.
So Ukraine is going to be in a kind of a limbo kind of a situation. Will Ukraine become a neutral state? Will Ukraine agree not to join NATO? Will Ukraine agree to a 20-year pact of not joining NATO? We will have to see all that, and there are interesting times ahead of us. But what is more important is the state of European economy, the state of European uh, unity. Why I'm making this point is because the European Union now becomes, the European states are getting divided because of the energy crisis and the local compulsions. Every country has its own compulsions, and because of the local compulsions, the interests are getting kind of divided within Europe. And that's a major thing. What I fear and what I see coming in the future are the grandiose plans of President-elect Donald Trump. And that is statements on Greenland, statements on Panama, statements on Mexico,
Canada.
Now, when you make such statements, they are not made out of the, off the cuff.
Yeah, he was looking for this before itself, 2019.
Yeah. Now, MAGA, making America great again. कहने का मतलब आज की तारीख में वो ग्रेट नहीं है, उसको दोबारा से ग्रेट बनाना है. ठीक है. So he's got some grandiose plans, and these grandiose plans are all, as I earlier we have spoken, and I always bring it down to the Arctic Circle. I had earlier talked about Finland and Sweden. The coming into NATO, joining NATO was for what? I had stated that they have been brought into this fold so that they have the NATO has is the northern part of it is the Arctic Circle becomes within the ambit of NATO's reach, and now you have Greenland also coming in between. Now what will happen is what we got to see. I see a lot of turmoil. I see a lot of jitters in Europe. I see a lot of silence in China. There are no statements coming out of China as far as Europe is concerned. No statements coming out of China as far as Ukraine is concerned. No statements coming out of China as far as the Middle East is concerned. Yes, we hear of the Europeans talking about, or the Americans talking about China. China is helping Russia. That's about all. What have they provided? How much of help have they provided? It has not yet been substantiated, and nothing has been spelled out as of date. So that's my take on it. And where does India fit in? We can talk about it a little later. Yeah.
Sir, the most interesting part in this entire thing is that the two wars tried to get connected, but they didn't. Udwani, that game didn't happen. And both dono ka ek tha, even Zelensky was pushing for it, even Netanyahu was this thing. Netanyahu, to my mind, I was pretty cool with what they were doing in Lebanon and this and that. But the second they went into Syria, I said, yaar, ye theek nahi hai. Two reasons. One, you say that you're fighting radical Islam, radical jihadis, then you're bloody going and aiding another chap who's a ISIS chap. That I put a very strong reservation, and मैंने काफी बारी enunciate किया इसको कि यार ये ठीक नहीं है. This is not okay. For your own gain, yeah, you've done something really smart in the whole thing. You've tried to cover up the Lebanese border, आप Hezbollah का supply route रोक रहे हो, all that good. But understand one thing, you've got Turkey on your border. He will screw you one day. So that's point one. Dusra, concerning Ukraine, the similar thing. I mean, you've got people like Denmark, you've got got people like all these people now standing for Ukraine. Now, what if Trump uses military in Greenland? What Ukraine needs, because of that so-called treaty security arrangement, does Ukraine need to go fight for Denmark in Greenland against the Americans that too? ये जो बेवकूफियां है ना sir, this is I have no simple words. I don't think any other word can describe it. This is absolute stupidity and lack of foresight from both the sides. How do you see this? This is what, desperation? This is just trying to get an edge? What are they trying to do?
Oh, I don't see, as you just said, desperation or whatever, but I don't see anything in the long term panning out.
Yeah.
Right? There seems to be no long-term perspective which is kind of visible at the moment as to what direction Europe wants to go, what direction Ukraine wants to go. I find it very funny when President Zelensky is always touting for that if you do not aid Ukraine, Europe will collapse.
Mm.
I mean, he's only selling I think he's doing an emotional kind of a blackmail on the Europeans. That if you're not going to be aiding, if America stops aiding, if Europe stops aiding this thing, the Russians are going to be sitting in Europe. I mean, Russians are not mad. If American
यूक्रेन लिया नहीं जा रहा भैंस क्या तुम उनको यूरोप में घुसा रहे हो
हाँ उसको तुम उसे और यूरोप में घुसा रहे हो और on the other hand तुम्हारा वेस्टर्न लीडर बोल रहा है मैं तो ग्रीनलैंड भी ले लूंगा, मैं पनामा भी ले लूंगा, मैं कनाडा भी ले लूंगा, सब कुछ ले लूंगा. तो भाई रशिया अगर इतना ले रहा है तो क्या ले रहा है?
Makes sense, absolutely.
कल को चाइना बोलेगा मैं भी ये कुछ ले लेता हूँ, ताइवान ले ही लेता हूँ, देखी जाएगी.
हम भी बोलेंगे ये दे दो हमको, ये चाहिए हमको.
After all our parental claims. I mean, traditional India or our Indian empire was huge, and these are all Indian territories. I mean, they should be part of whatever we are talking about. The grand vision of India. Bharat. So what is wrong in that? If everybody is dreaming big, if China as it is absorbed so many countries, Tibet ko bhi le liya, Mongolia ko bhi sab Manchuria and things like that, whatever they are taking every part of the territory and claiming it to be historical claims. So हमारे भी तो बहुत historical claims हैं. We also got historical claims. We got historical claims in Bangladesh. We got historical claims on Nepal. We got historical claims on Pakistan. We got historical claims on some part of Afghanistan as well.
On China itself.
So why should we be left behind? I mean, the thought process, a saner thought process has to emerge. And that sanity today, that the balance in world geopolitics is kind of gone topsy-turvy. There doesn't seem to be any maturity as far as, as far as the Americans are also concerned. Right? So there's no maturity in the path of the Americans. The Chinese are still showing some bit of maturity by not making any utterances. The Russians are showing maturity in a way that they have started a war and they're pursuing a war. And they're not talking anything else. Right? So if these big players are, if there is immaturity in certain parts of the world, that is spoiling the entire environment and vitiating it to an extent that nothing good seems to be coming out of it.
Yeah.
Right? So let us see as to what happens. I'm eagerly waiting for 20th of January. And the next 4 years are going to be rather interesting.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be very interesting. And I'll tell you, Aadi, for a simple reason, when I say it's going to be interesting is because the changes which come about in the next 4 years, if they are not of permanent nature, and if the successive government thereafter doesn't pursue these policies which are going to be panned out, if they are reversed, America is going to pay a major price for it.
Yeah.
So,
That's true, sir.
भाई 4 साल ही है ना आपके पास.
वो भी कहाँ सर, 1 साल लास्ट का तो आपका उसमें चले जाता है.
हाँ, एक
क्या
साल
नाम है,
आपका उसमें चले जाता है, एक साल आप सेटलिंग डाउन में चले जाते हैं।
2 ही साल हैं
While-
और उसमें बीच में मिड टर्म इलेक्शन है.
No, while Trump is going to be hitting the ground running, because his first term was an experiment. He was new to the job. Then he studied it over a period of time, and now, of course, he'd come in as a maturer, person in chair. But if it is not carried beyond these 4 years, there is going to be a lot of problems for the Americans themselves. That's and the changes which will be made now, they better be very good and they better be very strong. And decisions made have to be very, very calculated and very, very far-sighted. Otherwise, they're going to be in deep trouble. China निकल जाएगा आगे, चुप के निकल जाएगा. The Americans, China is not talking 4 years and 2 years. It's talking 2050. And it's talking for the next 25 years. It's laid down the plan for the next 25 years. It's going as per its stated ambitions. With
a madman like Xi Jinping sitting on top?
No, it's Xi Jinping or anybody. The 2050 vision is spelled out.
Yeah, that was put out by what's his name?
Deng Xiaoping.
Deng Xiaoping.
Yeah, so that's spelled out. I want to know what is spelled out by the Americans. I want to know what is European Union looking at. In fact, I want to know as to what are we looking at also. Here's a country which is spelled out. I mean, they will do whatever it takes to achieve that. What is the long-term vision of these various countries, the big players? And that is what we got to be working on. And we got to be, since they are not stated, we got to be probing as to what are they heading in for. They take out their, you're gone.
Sorry. China is also sinking in terms of its economy. So I don't know what it is. Right now, the whole narrative about trade surplus and all that stuff. These monkeys don't realize that trade surplus is because of the bloody subsidies that they give. If you actually put out the subsidies, you realize China is earning like peanuts right now. I mean,
so you see, now are the Americans going to be able to cut out import?
Play the right game with China, yeah.
What is the game they play with China?
Yeah. That's important.
Right? The economic game which is played out between America and China is going to make a lot of difference. And the pressures put up by the Americans on Europe.
Yeah. To stop
Europe
dealing with China or whatever it is.
Stop dealing
Europe
with China.
And Iran as well, sir.
Iran as well. So Iran also is a big factor which is coming in. Iran को choke कर लोगे फिर उसके बाद क्या करोगे? ठीक है, Iran की supply whatever 40% or 18%, I don't know the exact figure. Somewhere I read was 18% of the world's supplies are Iranian. I may be wrong on that figure, but you will choke Iran, right? For what? So that you buy from America. Okay, you will buy from America at what cost? At a higher cost. You're not going to get it cheap. You're going to get it at a higher price from the United States. Are you willing to pay that price? Then you will buy the Iranian oil via India.
That is what I was saying in the afternoon. Exactly the same thing. That if you play your smart game, that you should be able to tell the Americans, okay, fine, you tell Iran not to sell its oil to China. I'll buy the oil and I'll sell it to you after that, wherever you want.
Absolutely.
Europeans को तो चाहिए मैं बेचता हूँ, मेरे को क्या problem है? I will do it. And that will be like, you'll be sitting on a bloody gold mine if something like that happens.
Yeah, it's good. Because every country is looking at कहाँ से सस्ता मिलेगा. Where do you get it cheap?
Right.
And let me tell you, India buying oil from Russia has been a big lesson for the rest of the world. Okay, while India may have been criticized for having done so, But it's a big learning and a big lesson for the rest of the world. That look, if India could do it, we should have also done it. Right? And if India has made money out of it and India has looked after the interests of its own people, we should have also been doing that. Now, this kind of a thought process which has come into the European leaders' minds is creating the divide which I'm talking about within Europe. Should it's like, should I be thinking Europe or should I be thinking my country, my nation first? If America is going to be thinking America first, why should Hungary talk about Hungary first and Poland first? And, and that's how it has to be. That collective EU thing is going to collapse. That's NATO is going to collapse, and so is the EU going to collapse. That's my prediction.
Yeah. I mean, the most important part is that if you look at the game, as I was saying, China, to me, China is the next target. And today, yesterday and today, when those reconfirmations of the Senate hearings were happening, Marco Rubio has put out a very interesting statement, and he said that China has stolen from us and now become a superpower and is trying to threaten us, but everything is very stolen from us. It is, illegally got from us and all that stuff. So there is a certain amount of, I don't know if I would call it anger. It is basically frustration which is there in the Americans ki yaar sala, what is this nonsense? हमने इतना help करा इनको, सिर पे चढ़ गए हमारे.
So ये तो है. देखो, where was I reading? I was reading somewhere. It says if Greenland is being talked about, it is because of China. It's not because of anything else. The whole problem is China. In the entire, the American mindset today is being dictated because if America is not thinking in terms of becoming great again, it is going to be China which is greater than America.
China needs to go for America to become great.
Great. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
So whatever restrictions the Chinese are laying down, putting things on a restriction that list, and so if the Americans are going to put tariffs, it's all trying to put down China. And in any case, the future, what are we looking at? We're looking at technology. We're looking at critical minerals. We're looking at AI, right? And we're looking at oil, energy.
China today, to me, seems like a very soft target. They've got unemployment issues which are closing into youth unemployment. Last I checked was about 23%. They've got internal protests happening. This, that. If I was anybody, I would say, okay, this is the case. It's in a soft spot. Go for it. Tickle it. Thoda, keep tickling it.
At the moment, nobody's tickling China.
That's the thing. ये तो सर बिके हुए थे साले, क्या नाम है इनका, बाइडेन तो सारे बिके हुए थे तो.
बिके हुए ना. Nobody is tickling China. China is tickling everybody. You got it? So it has to be tickled, and it has to be tickled at multiple points.
Yeah.
Thoda bahut tickling is required at multiple points. You don't hear of these Uyghur Muslims and things like that. We don't even talk about it today. Yeah, come on. We should be talking and making human cry about it. We don't talk about it.
Yeah. Nobody talks about Tibet except for us.
Nobody talks about Tibet except for us. Yeah. So at if you want to contain China, you have to tickle China at multiple points. Whether it is on the sea, whether it is on space, whether it is the Arctic, whether it is the Indo-Pacific, whether it's Taiwan, whether it is South China Sea. So it has to be a game played in a very, very coordinated manner by whatever is the grouping that you want to call it. Yeah. Interesting times.
Very interesting time. So one last question before we get into audience is that when you look at this whole thing, I mean, Trump had said 24 hours, I'll sort out Ukraine. How much time do you think, or can Ukraine actually be stopped?
The Ukraine war will be stopped on President Putin's terms, not on President Donald Trump's terms. Right? And much will come out of what will happen in the talks which are going to take place between President Trump and President Putin post 20th of January. And these talks are going to take place in Switzerland. And post that, some clarity would emerge. Because Putin, there is already a soft corner, and President Trump has kind of realized as to why Putin is doing what he's doing. Right? So, as they say, he's posing up to Russia. No, now I'm making a very, very big major statement. If America poses up to Russia to counter China, I give you a deal. I give you a deal.
Game up, sir. Game up.
Me, you friends, but this is how we're going to play it.
And India, come, just tell him that we'll figure it out.
India, you're there in any case. You're there with Russia, you're there with the US.
Yeah, you'll play a big role.
Yeah. So, if I'm a businessman, and I want to cut down competition, what would I do?
Get Russia on your side. Yeah.
Get Russia on your side and say, buddy, stop all this war, sure. Let's get together. Let's trade together and sort out these guys. And in any case, China has got no lien on Arctic. It's Russia. And China is asserting itself by doing certain favors to the Russians by supplying whatever they're supplying. What are they doing is they're taking advantage of Russia as far as the Arctic is concerned, the northern route, because it's shorter. It serves their purpose. So there is, sooner or later, there's going to be a tussle or there's going to be a rift between Russia and China over the Arctic. Because China will want more and more of its pie through Russia, and Russia will say, thank you. We will not let you do it.
Yeah.
Get lost. So now you see how it will fit in. If I'm a businessman again, I would want Russia on my side. Right? Let's get together, buddy. Let's sort this guy out.
Yeah.
So much would get clearer after that meeting. And how long will the war last will depend on this kind of a mindset, which may, this is just my own reading, which may kind of come about.
Right, guys, let's get into questions. Request everybody, please like the show and subscribe. Most importantly, these are very important times. India people have kind of lost a bit of focus as far as Israel is concerned. But it's very critical, and I'm quite concerned about what Israel is up to, because, and I kind of, although I like Netanyahu quite a bit, but as Sir said, कि थोड़ा over ambitious हो गए हैं लोग, जहाँ पर, they should have actually finished up. It was an easy military operation, and a lot of military veterans have said that this was not that difficult an operation that you have to linger it on for 1 year plus. And even now, I mean, what shocked me is the factor that the way the Hamas came out, sir, bloody hell. Banduke, full power, they were like bloody celebrating on the streets here. Remnants are there always.
They say the number of people they have got killed, they have produced much more.
Yeah.
At the same time.
So that's kind of, I don't know where this thing will go, sir. I have, especially the Israel part of it, I'm sure Israelis will be able to deal with the Lebanese and the Hezbollah. That's fine. I'm sure they'll be able to deal with Iran as well. But this Hamas nonsense
is going to continue.
Yeah, it's a bit challenging. All right, guys. Also, you can contribute towards this channel using the QR code or PayPal or Super Sticker Super Chats. Let's see सबसे पहले I'm going to just acknowledge the members. Deepa ji, thank you so much. Prashant ji, thank you so much for becoming members. Sarvani, thank you for your super sticker. Sharvin ji, thank you so much. He says, how would you rate the cats UCAV and AMCA ready? यार वो बात करेंगे हिमाचल वेदी के साथ. But yeah, it's a good development, if I may just say that much. It's a good development, and we've recently done a show on HAL. Have a look at that. We've spoken about this in a little more detail than that. Chad Saab, thank you so much. I just finished your previous video. Missed the teamwork. Maha, make Akhand Hindu Rashtra again. So I've asked names, you know. So some people said make India Bharat again. You know, so stuff like that. So I've very kindly requested people give me your suggestions. So Maha is also nice. You know, Maga, Maha. It kind of makes it has to rhyme as well, right?
Yeah.
Thanks for this. Nikhil ji, thank you for becoming a member. Partha ji says, looking back at nuking the KXL pipeline deal makes sense. What will be the impact of excess energy from Greater America? Won't it be cheaper for the EU then?
No, Americans are going to sell it at their own price.
Yeah,
it's not going to be cheaper for EU. They already, and trust me, while we think that it is going to be cheap, no, America is going to twist the tail and extract maximum out of it. It's not going to be cheap.
Yeah, they're going to.
There's already a lot of discussion on this.
They're going to fleece them.
They're going to fleece them.
Sharvinji, once again, thank you. He says, what options does Trump have for Greenland? If he does not, then Chinese jets in Greenland by 2040?
Absolutely. No, that is the cause of concern. That's the cause of concern, because either he's already got, I think they've got some troops there, but whatever are the bases, that they're not strengthened. And I think it's a lot to do with oil exploration. It's got a lot to do with minerals. It's got a lot to do with the Arctic. And America wants to extract maximum out of it. If it does not, China is going to come in. And I said, China will get opposed over a period of time, even by Russia.
Yeah. Sai Vinodji, thank you so much. Would it be time to take Chittagong if Trump takes Greenland?
Yeah, why not?
If it serves your
we will see. We will see as to how things shape out in our neighborhood also. We not talked about our neighborhood. That we can do some other time. But how things are going to pan out in our neighborhood are very, very important. Will we take it, or will it come to us?
I like the scenario when you're sitting with a catching glove.
Yeah. We're waiting for POK to just fall into our lap. I mean, we're not going to fight for it. They're going to come to us and say, thank you, please, वापस ले लो हमको. So that stage is somewhat already on the cards, and it's coming about, right? Slowly, these things take time. And sooner or later, if the POJK is going to come back to us, so will certain areas say, we would like to be with you. We're much safer, we're much better governed, etc. So let's wait and watch.
Divakarji, thank you for this. He says, Aadi sir, Major General, how do you think UK and Ukraine signing agreement for 100 years today?
I think this was one of the most ridiculous statements made by anybody. 100 years, as I said, he's not even very sure about his own seat for the next the coming months or weeks. So I think it was a very off the cuff, unthought of statement just to bolster the because I have come and I must announce something that hum tumhare saath hain types. 100 saal ke liye tumhare saath hain. Whether it concretizes, we will have to watch. I have my doubts because Ukraine's own existence is quite kind of shaky at the moment as to whether it's going to be a neutral state, whether it's going to be split into 3 parts, it's going to be split into 2 parts. I feel it's going to be split into three parts sooner or later. So all that. So let's not jump to conclusions, and let's not. I these immature politicians and heads of states somehow cause a lot of confusion at times.
Yeah. Varsha ji, thank you so much. Says Pakistani YouTubers disappointing videos deleted. Any news? Good for them, yeah. You live in Pakistan, you need to go through that. Whatever happens there. But remember one thing: half of these guys, 99.9% of these guys are stooges of the ISI. So trust me, a lot of these guys, this disappearing news, this that, sometimes it's just created to get a little more views, to get attention and eyeballs back. Be very careful when you engage with these Pakistanis. Remember that very.
Pakistan, what is that? ISPR. They work the bloody good as far as disinformation is concerned and misinformation is concerned.
Yeah.
And I know for sure they carry out very deliberate actions. And whatever you hear in open media, firstly, nobody has the guts to come and criticize the government or the army. If somebody is doing it, or if some videos are coming out, these are all on purpose. If you want to see the videos which are coming out and which have some meaning or which are real, I think we would watch videos which are coming out of Afghanistan maybe, or some other country with regard to Pakistan. But what are emerging out of Pakistan, please be very wary of it.
Absolutely. Don't trust them with a 10-foot pole. Rajesh ji says, if the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas is a joke, if the exchange of prisoners is done, this could have been done long ago. Is it true that Ukrainian presidential palace has been attacked?
I have not come across this news.
Likewise, I don't know about this, but there's again a lot of misinformation there as well.
And as far as Israel and Hamas is a joke, you see, take it as a joke, don't take it as a joke, up to us. But the fact of the matter is, the Israelis are not very keen to stop it. They want, after all, they are angry and they want to finish off Gaza and be done with it once and for all. Now, what is going to happen is, as far as they are concerned, they want to finish Hamas. And any war or any action which is being taken, there's a momentum which gets built up over a period of time. Now that momentum has been built up, and suddenly that momentum is going to be stopped, things are going to go back and again come back to the same situation maybe in the next 5 years or 6 years. Right? So that is what one way to look at it is that if Israel be given permission to finish Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist organization, finish it off. But what is happening in the bargain is the number of casualties, the civilian casualties and the atrocities on civilians. That's the loss of human life and the loss of infrastructure and the displacement cost. I think that cost is very, very high. And that is why it is important to reach a ceasefire. But if we think, and if anybody thinks that Hamas will be obliterated in the future, not happening. It's going to strengthen, it's going to multiply. You just imagine you are an innocent Palestinian staying in Gaza Strip. You are 9 years old, 10 years old. You were from a kind of okay family, and now suddenly you are homeless. Why? Because somebody else destroyed your house. What are you going to do? So in this kind of a scenario, what happens is you kill one terrorist, you create 10. When you have collateral damage, of such a great degree, then you are not finishing off terrorism like this. I'm afraid this is not the way to finish off terrorism.
Even if you didn't have collateral damage of that degree, your narrative is against you.
Absolutely.
That's the problem. In the past 1 year, they've not been able to flip the narrative.
Narrative को छोड़ो यार, जमीन में देखो ना. You look at what's happened: destruction, displacement, hunger, bombs, not sure of loss of life, loss of family members. So ये खत्म नहीं होगा ऐसे. Wars are never a means to end terrorism. There's always a political solution to all these things. Why does a ceasefire take place? Okay, if a ceasefire is not followed by disarmament, what's the use of a ceasefire, man? How are you going to get peace if disarmament is not going to take place? भाई अगर ceasefire होता है कि भाई we've negotiated peace, what will happen is in peace, okay, there will be neutrality. You will so will hand over their weapons. Are they going to hand over their weapons? No. So
this is not an end, sir. This is just I would say, a comma in the sentence.
Absolutely. So it's, in any case, it's going to be tried out for 42 days. The ceasefire is for 42 days, effective 19th.
Yeah.
Right, 6 weeks. And in the 6 weeks, the first exchange is going to take place on the 19th or so. And then thereafter, it's somewhere... no, the second lot is taking place on 19th. First lot was supposed to be... there are 2 lots. And the first 33, and then thereafter, a few of them. How many, they've not stated. So let's see as to what happens.
Ashish ji says, if Israel attacked Gaza again today, it was just a retaliation before starting the ceasefire, or they will continue the war.
No, this is
angry.
जब तक ratify नहीं करेगा, तब तक वो मारते रहेगा. Today they killed 81 guys.
81 in one raid. That's, I think, pretty much the highest.
Yeah. So 81 guys. Even when it has been signed, it is 81 killed. So they would like to do maximum, before the ceasefire comes into place. Yeah.
Rashmi ji, what did the USA gain at the end of the war in Ukraine and Israel? Ukraine you've spoken about. What about Israel, sir?
What have they gained?
Mm.
As far as Israel is concerned, they've only gained one thing. That's a defense industrial complex, period. Right? As far as second is, what they wanted to do is, I think, is to prove to Iran, tell Iran that, look, you are next. That we are going to be sorting you out next. And that is it. And the Israelis, of course, all these, that has organized Iran back to Houthis, and Houthis have come down to these Hezbollah has come onto some state. So they're trying to, the messaging is to Iran and not to Hamas alone. So that is what the Americans have gained, and they're putting pressure on Iran. So what it is.
शारविन जी, थैंक यू सो मच. हम सोते रहते हैं रात बराबर क्योंकि बॉर्डर खड़ा है एक सरदार 1.25 लाख के बराबर. है nice
one, but that's how it is. Every soldier is a 1.25 lakh as far as India is concerned, whether it's a Sardar or not a Sardar. Trust me that even a BSF soldier today sitting on the fence, one chap every 50 meters. अभी भी इस वक्त आज की ठंड में, you don't know how cold it is today here in Punjab. Right now outside my house I can't see my car. There's so much of fog. So a soldier who's on the fence, who's every 50 meters on the fence, there's one chap, one guy, lone guy, who gets changed after 4 hours, right? And of course the fence is electrified and all that, and there are lights, but the fact of the matter is the fog is so thick, and those are the guys who are protecting you right now along the Indo-Pak border. Then you have the ITBP along the Indo-China border, then you have the Assam rifles, and then you have the SSB, and then you have the army guys deployed all over along the LC, LAC. Times are very tough I always maintain that we Fauji's cannot describe to you as to how tough our life is. And for you, it is very difficult to comprehend also. So your statement that you made, thank you for that. But the fact is that it is such.
Occupational hazards. Harshalji, thank you so much, but I can't see your question, nor can any of our kind panelists. Can you please resend it? If anybody can find this question, please send it to me because I can't see it. Amandeep Khurana ji, thank you so much. Your views on Bangladesh 9th division in a new shift. We were just talking about it before.
Let's see. It's we're going to be watching Bangladesh, and of course Aadi is covering it every day, so he's best in a better position to answer.
It's just the beginning, buddy. It's going to take a little time, but it's just the beginning. Having said that, keep an eye. Anything can happen. 9th division in Bangladesh is the coup division. Harshal Saab, thank you. Finally. Sorry, I did not get to watch today's session from the beginning. Just wondering why Russians are not eliminating top military officials of the Ukrainian forces, similar to what the Israelis did.
A very good question, Harshal, because this is something which I also keep wondering. Because by now, if I had been sitting on the Russian side, trust me, I would have targeted these guys by now. And
13 times.
As far as intel is concerned, let me assure you, the intel is already available. You know where the people are. You know who's moving where. Intel is of very high order. And yeah, Aadi, if you recollect long time back, when that meat grinder tactics moving, and I used to say, Bakhmut. And I used to, Avdiivka, Bakhmut, and I used to keep saying, we don't operate like this. We bypass, and we isolate and we invest and we move ahead. They learned the lesson. I don't know if they watched the show or what, but now they're following that, and that is how they are moving faster. Right?
They're leaving the villages alone now.
Yeah, so that's how they're just, they're just encircling. The moment you encircle, it collapses. You don't have to fight. Now, this is something which they should have been doing. Because targeting of commanders, targeting of leaders, targeting of key personnel, I don't see another aspect that I see missing in this entire operation is the role of special forces.
That's the thing, sir.
I not seen no para jumps. I know not seen no para behind the
lines sabotages and
I haven't come across that. So there is something amiss somewhere tactically. No.
Mukeshji, thank you so much. Last two questions, sir. Jai Hind, French submarine and Strava. Next pager. Pagers.
Yeah.
And usme bhi, by the way, the Pakistanis are quite convinced that is also Raki Sajish, because the one chap was an Indian. Oh, Yahood और हनूद फिर से साजिश कर रहे हैं. देखो पेजर से पता.
देखो क्या होता है. आगे देखते जाओ.
It was so funny. Thought provocator ji, thank you so much. He says for this question, very interesting question. What happens if there's a trade war that breaks out between US and Canada stops cheap oil supply to the US?
Yeah, let's see. It's going to happen. I mean, today Canada is also showing two fingers. I mean, they made statements as to what if we take on certain parts of the US. So we buy them out.
That's called a death wish, sir. Trudeau's gone nuts.
Trudeau, the poor fellow.
Somebody needs to loosen up his whatever pajama or whatever he's wearing, because his backside where the brain is locating, the blood is not going there.
Nice one.
कोई जो पजामा पहनता है उसका जरा थोड़ा नाड़ा शाड़ा ढीला करो बंदे का, वो पागल हो रखा है वो, he's gone crazy. I mean, the other day I copied Elon Musk and responded to him when he said happy Pongal only to Tamil people. I said, you girl, just shut up and sit down. Because and Elon Musk had said that to him some time ago. That thing, I had a lot of Canadians writing up to me and said, that was nice. That's okay. Well, sir, thanks so much. This was an interesting episode because these are two wars which are in front of us. I don't know how they're going to end. A lot of people think that there's going to be a false flag that the Israelis will plan up. Quite possible. Netanyahu is quite, known for it. He's quite pissed off.
He's pissed off and he's, looking at holding on to power. So
Yeah.
that's... And
you never know what happens. All right. Parji, just the last comment, sir. Thank you for your service. Major General, sir, what do you see challenges for India in internal security?
Internal security issues, Northeast, Manipur, yes. Kashmir is very much under control. Northeast, Manipur not under control, getting under control, if I may just put it. But the dynamics there are totally different, and one needs to keep a watch on it. As far as what my knowledge goes, the Nagas are having a good time, and the Assam thing has fizzled out. Nagas are, lying low and peaceful, enjoying what is happening between the Kugis and Maites, and enjoying on all fronts. Like within themselves, they're happy. They're siding. They're not party to the Maites. They're not party. They are party to the Kukis. Watching fun, and not contributing. Luckily, because they haven't got into the battle.
Luckily,
yet. Yeah.
Luckily, otherwise.
As far as the Maoism is concerned, Maoist element is concerned, that is, you got to accept it. That happens in any country, somewhat. In any case, that area has shrunk to a larger. The troubled areas have become small. As infrastructure develops, as you go deeper into territories, infrastructure development is what makes a country grow. We all know it. But when you go into underdeveloped areas, those people start getting rozgar. When they start getting employed, then they get, automatically wean away from other activities. So this is how it is. Otherwise, when you're looking at, we are at a situation where I would say a tight control is required. Our police forces have to strengthen up, have to become stronger, have to be strengthened so that no nefarious activities, no radicalism is allowed to perpetrate. And the best people to do that is the police forces, because they are the ones responsible for internal security. And I think, and I'm very sure that MHA is doing a great job at that by strengthening our, paramilitary forces or CAPF, not paramilitary nowadays. They're called the Central Armed Police Forces. So that is required. The states have to strengthen their police machinery, because the moment they strengthen the police machinery, you will find the state progressing, and we got to keep a check on it. That's the way I look at it.
Absolutely.
If you don't, then there's problem.
Absolutely. On that note, sir, thank you so much. Lovely to have you back. See you again, sir. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Jai Bharat.